Hey guys, just a quick message to let you know that the following clip is a highlight taken from the weekly TBC/classic World of Warcraft podcast that I do every week with me and Zirene. If you want to see more highlight clips and such, I won't be posting them all on this channel. You can subscribe. There's a second YouTube channel I've started up, linked in the description. It will be pinned in the comments as well, just so that we don't have too many clips just clogging up this one YouTube channel and you're not getting spammed by 5,000 clips every day. So yeah, if you want to check out more podcast highlight clips, I'll be posting them on the second YouTube channel in the future, so you can check it out there. But thank you guys, appreciate it. The podcast has been popping off, and I hope you guys like it. We'll see you guys on the podcast next week. Take care. So Noobs set a whole new record for Speedrun. I think it's what, 50? Is it 50-53?
Yes, 50-53. 50-53.
So yeah, I thought Zirene in particular was saying that there's some stuff that he thinks that are almost undoable depending on the server that you're on. So I thought we'd cover that. What do you think is actually undoable?
The thing is they do a lot of things. Like, they do some clever things that I really like. At the beginning here, they ended up doing the Gigapull with including the pat that goes underneath the gate. So after they got done with a noob, they run straight out. They run straight out with rocket boots, right? And the gate is already open. And the paladins have already gnomish cloaking deviced through the middle, and they're going to invis pot into the Fairlina pool. So the Fairlina pool is actually already being set up right now because they had two paladins not in a noob. So then they get to run through. Boom, it's already set up. They come in, they do this. They lose people here. It's fine. But that's like tiny stuff that, like, it's hard to notice if you just watch it. You're just like, oh, they're kind of just, they just ran through, and the pull setup is just normal. But they're shaving off seconds by doing these tiny things of having a paladin get over there at the very beginning and do the bubble pull to that giga pull spot by going to the other side. It's actually a lot harder than it sounds, and like pulling that extra pack. But then when I was watching this, I was just like, this is the part that freaked me out, was this rogue here on the right that's sprinting. That guy, he just takes off. And I was like, where's he going? And when they come over here and they get to this area, I was like, okay, wait, the door's already open. So that rogue already went by and probably opened the door, vanished. And then when they run through here, they're waiting for a second. I was like, what's going on? Okay. They pull these ghouls. And then for the rest of this run, to Naxx, there's no trash. There's no acolytes. There's no gargoyles. There's no set of acolytes here. They grab these spiders.
Okay, yeah, so for those people that don't know, that there's usually two mobs at each of these gateways.
And there's no acolytes here either.
And they're not here.
You see there's the ghosts from the shade, right? So the shade was pulled as well. But there's no acolytes, nothing like that in sight. And the rogue in the top right left the group. So this rogue ran through, grabbed everything, left group, petried in a corner with everything on him pulled off to the side, ghetto hearthed by being kicked out of the instance, gets summoned back, and rejoins the group when Naxx dies, and zones in. And he's back with them.
That's insane.
You can't do that shit on Fairlina. If you get fucking summoned in, you're gonna lose your buffs. And the other thing too is, I don't know if this guy has prep. Like, I don't know if he had prep, because what he probably did is he's probably preparation for the entire first part of the instance, and he hearths to wherever Iron Forest Stormwind. He probably runs to the rogue trainer, respecs, and gets summoned, and then puts all his talent points in, because he probably needs double sprint to even do that.
That's definitely not doable on FIMO. WCB Horde only will be all over that.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then the other thing on top of it is when they do they do Lotheb. When they do Lotheb, yeah, if you look at like his frames, I don't like his frames, but they're all the way on the left. Somebody left the group. Why did somebody leave the group? And then you're like, wait a second, what's going on here? And then somebody else leaves the group. And then there's a guy hearthing right here. So what they do is they don't log their priests out. They have them smite and do damage, and they have them do one of the first heals. Then they hearth them, and then they summon them back, so that they don't get the refreshed Lotheb debuff. Because every time somebody heals, he refreshes the debuff on all healers that says when you heal, you get a minute lockout on your heal. So and that thing takes 2 minutes to fall off. That's the thing that you wait for to fall off at the end of the fight. Is that debuff that says when you heal, you get this debuff. So they hearth and have the debuff removed from them. Now, if you want to get really fucking sweaty, you hearth to a place where there's 4 warlocks and they just give you enough debuffs to push off your debuff, right? I don't think they do that. I think they just come back after the time and they come in, and these guys will have like only a few seconds left on their debuff when they get summoned back. And I think 3 of them log off, or 3 of them get out of the group. It's this priest, and then this guy here who just rejoined the group. But they have a summoning squad there ready to just summon them back. Now, this is something that isn't like too uncommon, but it's like you can't do that on my server. Like you can't do that on my server unless you're raiding like graveyard hours. And especially if you're having somebody hearth, their hearth better be in a good place. So like there are people camping in Westfall right now. It is not pretty. Like Westfall, Red Ridge, it gets pretty sweaty with the dispellers right now. So like they do a lot of things here, including like even pulling this and having like a shadow protection potion ahead of time. And they do stuff where they sapper here, and then they have enough sappers for the gigapole and the stables. So what Noobs has done is they've really pushed kind of the limit of what you're able to do with the resources you have, and then found new things like that Petri pool. So it's always surprising to me because I'm just like, that is something that I don't think we would even try. And it only saved them like 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's a pretty minimal thing, but I guess it adds up. You're doing enough of these little mini things.
Yeah. See, does it refresh the debuff? The spore refreshes your crit debuff, just to answer the question in chat. Yeah. The spore refreshes the crit debuff, not the debuff of like you can't heal or anything like that. So all the warriors and like, the mages or whoever, they all want to get it, especially the warriors. So they get that back. But the thing about this that like just blows my mind is, like you said, it's only like a 10-second game, because what they did is they did that fancy ass Petri thing, right? They did that fancy pull. But then you're like, wait, there's trash requirements, right? So when you go further into the run, you see they actually pull trash that you normally don't pull. And it actually makes up, because I counted it. I took the end of our Fairlina to the start of our Makesna versus the end of their Fairlina versus the start of their Makesna. And there was a 25-second difference. They made it to Makesna 25 seconds faster than we did. But they lost 15 seconds having to pull these gargoyles after Gothic, pull this shade, pull these acolytes, and then this is 4 horsemen, and then they have to pull the other set of acolytes here because they didn't kill enough acolytes. So they have to kill these acolytes, which takes seconds to get to them. And then later on, before Thaddeus, right here, before Thaddeus, after Gluth, they have to pull the acolytes on both sides of this to meet the trash requirements. So they have to pull these acolytes and stop here. And then they have to go to the other side and pull those acolytes.
Geez, so how much time do they even save with all this?
They save, with the Petri stuff, they save 10 seconds. That's it. They saved 10 seconds doing that because it took them 15 seconds to kill all this extra trash.
Yeah.
Like I timed it and was like, okay, how fast do we kill Gluth to pull Thaddeus? Okay, how fast did they kill Gluth to pull Thaddeus? And then I added that difference with how much it took us to get from Gothic to 4 horsemen pulling and stuff like that. And I added all those times up, and they lost 15 seconds having to pull all that extra trash, but they gained 25 seconds doing the pre-makes and the trash stuff. So ultimately, it only saved them 10 seconds to do all that fancy shit. And you're at the point now where this is what you have to do for speedrunning, though. And I get it, but it's just absolutely crazy that they do these things just for such a minimal gain. I mean, they're the guys who did the enormous pull that got invalidated by the logs in terms of the time that it took, right? Where people were like, oh, they broke Progress's record. And then it's like, oh, turns out they didn't break it because the timer started when they got in combat, not when they all jumped in. So for me, I'm just like, Noobs, they mean business, and they have like a really big like ego about these things. It seems like they're pride. They have a lot of pride. Like they really want to be number one, and they're doing all this crazy shit for 10 seconds.
That's so
And
much
I'm just
work
sitting
for
here.
10 seconds. Jesus
I'm sitting
Christ.
here going like, I am never gonna make a rogue ever do that, dude. Even if the guy goes in there and goes, I can do this, I'm just gonna be like, bro, I don't want to pull all that trash later. All this shit can go wrong. Like, you see this right here? Like they get lucky slash unlucky. This door opens and they have the pat on the other side, right? The pat's right there. And they have to pull that. So it's like, I'm like, if the pat's right in the middle, like what's gonna happen? We have to go through it, and then we have to pull these guys on the sides and stuff. I'm like, it's just not worth it. I'd rather just do the makes the trash faster, dude. Like I'd just rather drag that trash. So the noobs run is really interesting, but if you just skim through the video, it doesn't look like they do anything like crazy or new, right?
Yeah.
Because they're just taking the same normal routes that everybody else is. They're just adding tiny things like and it's very subtle too. Like I think maybe I can swap to this, right? Let me see. Change windows to this. Okay. So I went in to do what they did with the very first poll, like because the whole thing where you can actually start your giga poll with the little skitterers in there. I was like, okay, how do you do that? I was like, okay, so you have to time this patrol, and like I learned what the patrol does, the one that's star and moving around right there. That one. I learned what that one does, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go now at when it starts coming back. I'm gonna invis pot to the other side. And you have to invis pot, run through. You have to time this with your raid starting, and you get a minute and a half to do this. To actually have this patrol on the other side, the circle, you have a minute and a half to have it come to you. And there's this little place you put yourself right here, and you just wait, right? And you wait for it. The rest of your raid is killing plague wing stuff, and you're sitting here waiting for it. So this circle has to come pat by you before the star comes pat by you, and your raid has to come at the same time. So it'll go by. It's not going to pull. And so and if you jump out, you pull other things. So there's a lot of things that people have to do to practice these tiny, tiny things. And if that person like doesn't show up that day, or has something come up, like you can't do it because it's like dependent on that one person who knows how to do it. It's pretty insane to me. And then like the circle comes back, right? And then it gets pulled, right? They get pulled through the gate. You get bubble. I'm not using a speed item here or Petri, but I'm just giving an example. Yeah. You would holy shock this, and then you would grenade the far pack inside right over there as you get to the Petri spot, and then you jump right here. Much easier with a speed item, but very, very doable. And all this does for you is it lets you have two paladins stay outside by the gate, and then they can open the gate as soon as the noob is done, and they don't have to worry about a skitterer patrol, and they just gnomish cloaking device straight through, and then you can go ahead and use a invis pot and set up the Fairlina pole. This saves you 5 seconds. That's what it does. It saves you 5 seconds of having to wait for the paladin to get to that spot to then go. That's all it is. And it's crazy stuff like that you just keep adding on and on and on over and over again. And I mean that's why they have the world records. They just keep doing tiny things over and over again. And to like segue into the progress stuff, people are kind of back and forth because they want to see what progress is doing, but I actually understand the whole perspective of progress here. So I think we can move on to that now and talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah.